I'm Oliver Legg, co-founder of Asperon Search, and today welcome Chris Sestito, co-founder and CEO of HiddenLayer. We talk on CyberBytes, the Podcast BlackHat Edition, about HiddenLayer's incredibly fast journey to 50 heads and winner of the 2023 RSA Innovation Sandbox.
Well, fantastic to welcome Tito, the co-founder and CEO of HiddenLayer. Welcome to the show, dude.
Yeah, excited to be here. Thanks very much.
No, pleasure. So for those of you that don't know, HiddenLayer have achieved incredible things in the last year and a half that you've been founded.
That's right. Yeah, we've had a fantastic start. I think the biggest surprise to me was really that I thought we were going to be spending a lot of our time. I thought we were going to spend years educating the market on adversarial machine learning as a new branch of the threat landscape. But the most exciting piece over the last year and a half is how much that the market has embraced this new technology and understanding that the infrastructure around it is going to need to be invested in as well. So that's been awesome. I think the technology is starting to move faster in general, but so are the people around the technology. They're starting to realize, we have to move quicker in order to understand these things. So I think that's been fantastic because it's become much more of a motion like any other new technology, and so that's been very exciting.
Yeah, awesome. And moving quicker, you can't really move much faster because 18 months, coming on to 50 people, only seed stage at the moment,
that's right.
And already the winner of the RSA Innovation Sandbox.
Yeah, it's been fantastic, and again, the best part about that is even in our early days, very early adopters, they were interested in this. They wanted to understand this conversation. They wanted to have conversations around securing their artificial intelligence. But when we do, gain these accolades like winning the Innovation Sandbox, that really helps shine the spotlight for those who, generally are a little bit more conservative with their decision making, or they're looking to those early adopters for guidance. And so it really helps kind of broaden the scope of the audience in terms of, who's concerned with this. And it's been really great. I mean, when we go to like CISO conferences, the first three topics on their mind are artificial intelligence and in various forms. And that's, a lot of that's a symptom of, the generative AI boom, even when we're talking about, more traditional versions of deployed artificial intelligence. But it's on everyone's mind. And so that's very helpful for us when we're trying to, expose how much of how vulnerable of a technology artificial intelligence is. We no longer have to start explaining what it is, at the beginning of those conversations. So yeah, it's been a fantastic first 18 months, and we hope to keep that trajectory and move even faster. We pride ourselves on being the fastest moving startup that's ever existed, so we want to keep that up.
Yeah, love that. And it's interesting because you all ex-Silence guys, right?
Many of us, yeah.
So when did the idea start? When did you and your co-founders kind of have that moment of, right, let's do our own thing?
Sure, yeah. I wish I could tell you it was a stroke of genius, but in reality, we were just a victim of an adversarial machine learning attack at Silence. And so, Silence was an awesome organization, and it really, I think now there's 7 or 8 startups that have come out of it. And it was one of the earliest adopters of machine learning as the primary technology in a traditionally kind of plagued or antiquated technology in antivirus. And so we used machine learning models to essentially be able to look at samples we'd never seen before and make a determination of whether or not it was good or bad. And so that model that was in our Windows product was attacked more than once. And so myself and today, my co-founders Jim and Tanner, we led the response effort to that, and we learned throughout that process how incredibly vulnerable machine learning is. It's vulnerable at a code level. It's vulnerable through interaction. I mean, now we're starting to see more and more on the adversarial machine learning white papers that are coming out from an academic side, but we're seeing automated attack tooling, to the same tune of like a Metasploit down to interact with machine learning models, and so. We knew that there was going to need to be dedicated technology to secure this back in 2019. We also knew that'd be pretty early for the market, so we kind of thought about this problem quite a bit. And then early 2022, we thought the timing was right to go ahead and dedicate ourselves to this problem. And so we're excited about that timing so far. But and now the market, as I mentioned, is just much more engaged in artificial intelligence in general, and it's no longer some fake thing that that it's now a tool that you can interact with and you can use and you can reap the rewards from using it. And I think that's getting a lot of people excited about what the technology can do. And so we're deploying it faster than ever, faster than any other technology we've ever deployed as a society. And that's creating gaps on the security side.
Yeah, awesome. The timing thing's always interesting. Do you watch Young Sheldon?
I don't.
On Netflix? You'd love it. But he, young genius, and
Gotcha.
He basically beats NASA's maths in order to land a shuttle on the moon.
Very cool.
But his maths was way too advanced for their technology at the time, so they couldn't do it.
Right? Yeah,
and
it sure does.
Yeah, clearly you've timed the market right, because it's taken off.
I appreciate that. And it was difficult, right? I mean, we wanted to start immediately, and obviously we had our nights and weekends and that kind of thing where we were working on these problems, but we wanted to get out there. We knew it was an impending inevitable problem for technology in general, but so it was hard to wait. But we're very glad we did, and there are other organizations in this space that came out a little bit earlier, and they took a very different approach from what we did, a little bit more on in reference to some of those white papers I mentioned. But they had a tougher run because I think they were a little bit early, and certainly we've been part of startups that were too early in other areas of cybersecurity, and then then you see examples of email security startups that were not as successful, and then the exact same technologies come out 10 years later and they're enormous. So, and then there's many examples as well. So timing is incredibly important. Some of that's luck, some of that's, planning as best you can, but we're happy about the way it's worked out so far.
Yeah. Nice work. And
thank you.
Culturally with having, I'm sure it's less of a percentage now that you've grown bigger, but
sure.
Especially when you first kind of started hiring, having so many people from your old firm.
Right.
Did that cause any cultural issues, or because I have another client who has a hard and fast rule that every single employee can only bring on one referral.
Oh wow.
And that's specifically to stop any form of, like, he described it as like a boys' club.
Gotcha.
to avoid that.
Yeah.
How did you find having so many people from Cylance?
So I would like to avoid that problem as well, but I don't think that's by cutting off our own networks. I think you avoid that by bringing in the right people. And so it's certainly an enormous advantage for us. I think so I think when we were at 20, 18 of us were ex Cylance, and so it was just incredibly quality people that we worked with in every sense of the word, and they're obviously enormously talented. Again, there aren't that many pools to pull adversarial machine learning specialists out of, so that was also very logistically useful. But they're just a phenomenal team. I mean, we care much more about working together. Something we focus on quite a bit when we decide someone come in. Are they a good student and are they a good teacher? We think very passionately about that, and we want to make sure that if you gain energy from empowering those around you, and you're genuinely curious in what others around you can teach, then that's usually a very strong leading indicator to everything else that we'd be concerned with. Usually that means you're pretty empathetic, you're probably pretty hardworking, you're probably pretty resourceful, and so we've kind of gone that route, and it's been nice that many of the folks we've worked with in the past, we already knew to exhibit those characteristics, and so we were able to kind of build that part of the team very quickly. But no, it's been a strength for us. It hasn't really created any issues in that regard, and we've since expanded. I think maybe 20 or so ex Cylance, and now that we're up to 50. We've gone from, but again, some of that is other members of our network that we work with at other locations. I was the chief data scientist at Qualys for a while, and we brought some folks in from there, and then also ran data science at Agari, and we brought our CTO who just came on, Jacob Rideout. He's an amazing mind and an amazing strategist in this space, and he wasn't Cylance, and everyone gets along quite well. So you want to make sure you don't have too much groupthink, right? Like in that case, because there's certainly a lot of changing times and a lot of ways to do things right, and you don't want to just say, hey, this is what worked before. But the good news about the folks that we brought in is they're saying, let's keep all the amazing things about Cylance, and let's also make our own decisions about things that we have unique problems with. And so certainly not any problems. I think it's been an enormous strength area for us, but I think we always have to be aware of bringing in folks who can bring in diversity of thought, bringing in folks who have solved different problems in the past. And embrace that as well. So I think we've kind of made that shift, which has been fantastic. Yeah,
awesome. And what else are you kind of doing culturally to build that company that people are excited to be part of?
Yeah, good question. I think one of the things that we really lean into is the remote work piece. We're a remote company. A lot of groups say they're a remote company, but it doesn't just mean we don't pay an office lease. It means we need to really empower those in the organization to thrive in whatever environment they want to work in, and whether that's they want to go to a to a shared work environment like a WeWork or something along those lines. Like we facilitate that. If those say hey, we give a stipend for improving your home office so you can work in a comfortable environment, you have everything you need. But because we believe the employee should be able to where they want to live is their choice. It shouldn't affect things like how much they're paid. It shouldn't affect things like whether or not we would hire them. We really are very results driven in that regard. But it means you need to find ways to make sure you're staying engaged. You need to have people want to be fulfilled. They want to have say. They want autonomy. And that's what we want as well. We want to bring in the right people and then give them the autonomy to accomplish the goals that they want to accomplish, and that makes sense for our mission. And so we lean very hard into that. We think that that's something that luckily we're in a position now where we're hiring a lot of experts who have already dedicated their lives to this in some form of related path towards our mission. And so you don't ever have to worry, are they a hard worker, or are they really getting things done? We'll have to assess everything as we grow, because we'll have different roles. But from every position here, it's been an enormous accelerator for us. It's allowed us to continue to move fast. But we want to make sure we stay connected, right? So I think that's certainly there's something about talking like this versus a Zoom chat. And so we find ways that we can do it at events like this, at different ways to go there. But I think that's been awesome culturally, and as I mentioned before, that looking for those who want to empower others around them has just been such a domino effect on everything else that's great about our team. And so I think that that's something that we'll continue to look to hiring in terms of criteria for who we bring on.
Yeah. How do you assess that in an interview?
Great question.
For someone you don't know, so someone that's a brand new candidate, not known through the network. How do you define? This person is going to empower their colleagues? It's
a great question. It's something it's a reason that I interview everyone that comes on, and obviously with 50, that's not that hard to do. But I'll do that as long as I can. I think that's something that I was impressed when Sam Altman revealed that he had interviewed the first 4,000 at OpenAI, and I said I like that. I want to make sure that a large part of what I do is related to if there's an area where I'm the overbearing CEO, it's who comes and joins the team, right? I think that's the most important decision you make by far, is who comes in, and then everything else becomes sort of a multiplier of that. And so but yeah, I think that's you let people talk. You let them talk about what's important to them. You let them talk about ways they've chosen to solve problems in the past, and you can learn that too, because there's certainly those who are a little bit more independent who can still contribute in our environment very well. But when they still value those around them and what they can bring to the equation, and that becomes a big part of that. We have some a little bit more independent folks, but they still love to share their work. They still love to chat in different formats. Sometimes they're more interested in like Slack or something than they are in meeting up, which is great. There's a lot of mediums in which you can empower each other, but the best way to identify that in a person is to let them talk about what's important to them, and then pick that up throughout that. And if they start to bring up things about like projects they've worked with in the past, or mentors that they've appreciated, or mentees that they've shaped, you start to learn a lot about that person and what they value.
Yeah, awesome. And I mean, given the plans to double in size in what's the time frame to do that?
Probably by like Q1, Q2 of next year, we'll be up about towards about 100 folks, but we're about 50 now, which is a double in size from just about a month and a half ago.
So yeah, just crazy.
It's quick growth.
Crazy how quickly it's gone. So what should people be excited about? Why should people be looking at you guys, and why should top talent be thinking this is a firm and this is a CEO who I want to work for?
Well, it's less important about me, but I think that it's such an incredible problem to solve. And when you think about how fast any technology has ever moved, we're now in artificial intelligence. We're looking at the fastest growing technology. And it certainly won't be and isn't the first technology the threat actors decide, okay, we'll leave this one alone. And so when we think about all of the reasons we've ever had to secure new technology, the migration to cloud, I mean, any forward movement in networks, we start to understand, threat actors are going to abuse that as fast as they can, as efficiently as they can with automated attacks, and then leveraging machine learning in their own attacks. And so it's, in my opinion, one of the hardest problems in the world to solve, certainly the hardest in cybersecurity. And so if someone gets excited about, solving hard problems, working with a fantastic team, and moving into a space that is even in today's current macro environment, it's generally insulated from all of that because of how much organizations today have to invest in artificial intelligence to either be a leader or keep up. It's an awesome environment, and so I would say my number one answer to that is to join this team. This team is phenomenal. I think they make me a better contributor every day. We all make each other very a better contributor in every sense of the word, and it's also a lot of fun. We're essentially three friends who started a company and brought our friends and want to make more friends, and everyone enjoys that. We all feel very passionately about the same topic, and that's kind of our catalyst for learning more about each other and having a good time. And so it is a lot of fun. We work very hard, but we enjoy it. We enjoy each other, and so I would say that's the biggest reason. And then there's solving that difficult problem. I think when you think today about how we're going to facilitate continued adoption of artificial intelligence in a safe way, you can start to extrapolate that out to what does that mean. I mean, AI is making incredibly important decisions in our lives, and if it were to be abused, and it is being abused, and if it were to continue down that path, it could be a very scary world. And so I think when we think about where do we want to contribute our resources, and where do we want to spend our time protecting people, adversarial machine learning is the area that I immediately think of at scale.
Yeah, awesome. Well, absolutely pleasure to have you on, Tito, and really looking forward to seeing what comes next for H2 of 2023.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, man, for having me. It's been a blast.
Pleasure.
We hope you've enjoyed this latest episode of CyberBytes, the podcast. Please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and tell your friends. If you want to explore being a guest or how Aspiron Search can help you build high-performing security and go-to-market teams, then get in touch on LinkedIn or info@aspironsearch.com.